Four-time world champion, also from Algeria, Saifi. Silver medalist in World Championships from Mexico, Korea, Los Angeles, what team? The personal best of 22-17 from Spain, Gabriela Rodriguez. First to throw and currently eliminated Paralympics from Czechia, Miroslava Prova. Your athletes are women.
On your marks.
yang Paralympic
ರೆಡಿ ಕಳಿಸ್
Balik din ba 5,000?
ಫೈವ್ ಎಷ್ಟು
5,000.
ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ರೈಸ್ ಅಂತ
Eva Max. 7:22. Well, he knew it was going to take a 7-meter jump to get himself into podium position. He is just building and building now. He has that runway sorted out, and all the athletes will know he's dangerous. He is dangerous right until the end and has a history of taking the gold on that final leap. No athlete likes being shoved down in the order. How will Chala Espinoza respond? And Espinoza has already had a fantastic competition himself, setting a lifetime best in round 2, 7:11. Runway just going a little bit wrong there. You can see so much speed. He really, really worked that runway hard. Problem was he just knew that his foot was going to be in the wrong place, and it takes a lot of effort out of you with each jump, and if it's not going to work out, you are better off aborting it and perhaps saving that energy for a further attempt. But we are nearing the business end of this competition, and he knows if he wants to find himself on that podium, he's going to have to deliver another personal best, a daunting task for Chala Espinoza. Another athlete feeling the pressure in round 3, found himself coming in, sitting off 2 fouls, delivering a massive 7:12. He was on the podium until Ayesha Cup unleashed a big jump in round 4, and that one looked good. However, I'm not feeling confident that it was clean. He's been given the red flag. He just got a sense that he knows he's got to defend that position. He's got to find a way to get some extra speed, get some extra power, get some extra distance. He's just taking a little wander over to the officials. He wants to know exactly where his foot landed on that board so he can make the adjustment if necessary. Hassan Dashi of Saudi Arabia, already having the competition of his life. Personal best, 7:36. As I said, this competition absolutely littered with lifetime bests. Oh, and he just floats in the air. He is an athlete. Sometimes you have long jumpers that are more dependent on speed. Sometimes you have long jumpers that just seem to have elastic bands, springs for legs. He definitely is the latter of the two. He didn't get the chance to start in Kobe 2024. Fortunately, perhaps injury. He had to be patient. He had to wait until Paris 2024. And on his Paralympic debut, finished 4th, just off the medals. And that's the thing. When you get a little bit of taste and you know that you're close, it can send you home with renewed drive. And you can tell he's gone away. He's learned. He's trained hard. 7:36, his attempt for the 3rd round, keeping him in silver medal position. But what about Bromley? The defending world champion went into Paris thinking that that Paralympic title is going to be his to retain. And he would have thought that all the way until the 6th round, when Ayakishev just laid down a mark no one was expecting, saw himself demoted to silver. Now he's come back at this World Championships, already set a world record. Got all clear from the officials. Bromley is Malaysia's most decorated Paralympian. Been competing all the way back to Rio 2016, when in that competition he broke the world record on his way to the gold. This is an athlete who clearly loves the world stage, has a habit of breaking world records in the moment where it matters most. But he'll know from experience, it's not time yet to be complacent. Anyone at any point in these next 2 rounds can lay down just one jump. It's all it takes, one jump to knock him down. So 7 meters 20 on that attempt from Bromley. It won't affect his position, and we are now at the start of the 5th round. Kuna of Portugal currently sitting in 8th position. He won long jump bronze all the way back in London 2012. But we actually first saw Kuna back in Sydney in 2000. There was a 12-year hiatus where the T20 events weren't part of the Paralympics. It was just a case of having to make a few changes when it came towards the classification, and when it did come back in London 2012, Kuna was there and ready for that opportunity. Fantastic to see at 42. He is still competitive, still making that final at a World Championships. Also been dabbling a little bit in athlete politics. 2024, he was elected to the IPC Athlete Council along with 5 other athletes. Across parasport that the voice of the athlete is front and center. Synesis of Tsukuya currently in 7th position. And it is going to feel like these next 2 rounds go very, very fast. Just 8 athletes still remaining. And actually one of them has retired, Obanda Asprilla. So just 7 athletes going in each round. It takes about 1.5 to 2 minutes for each athlete to finish, get things measured. So not a lot of time to recover. Good on the board, given the all clear, and again, beautiful example of a fantastic heel shoot, making sure those legs stay up. 6 meters 82, delivered another personal best. This is also an athlete making his championship debut, just 19 years old. 2 personal bests at your first championships. That's a great start. Yakashev in a dangerous position early on, managed to deliver when it mattered most, but now that he's found his groove, can he go even better than 3rd? Oh, and he just got a little bit of a sense there from that runway, given the all clear by the official. He was slowing down as he came into the board, and that's the last thing that you want to do in a long jump. Really, ideally, you want to be at max speed, about 2 strides out before you take off. And there was just a moment where that strength, that stride length just lengthened a little bit too much. .78, that's not going to improve his position. When it comes to the long jump, yes, the takeoff is obviously a big deal, but everything is set up on the runway. The runway, from a physics perspective, that's where you build the energy. The key then is whether or not you can transform that energy into distance. But you can have the most beautiful technique in the world, but if you're not fast on the runway, it's not going to matter. Espinoza looking actually like he was about to take a dunk, a slam dunk off of that takeoff, given the red flag from the judge, but I have to say thumbs up in terms of style. to see that foot well over the board. But from a tactical point of view, Chela Espinosa at this point finds himself in 5th position. He's already set a lifetime best. It's been a fantastic competition for him, but if he wants to get onto that board, he has to be aggressive. He has to be aggressive with the board, aggressive with the runway, and that's, you can see him pushing it. You can see him going straight to the front end of that takeoff board.
Chat question coming. T11, complete visual impairment. It is the 400 meters, and quite a few major champions in this. Gautier Mukunda, well, former world champion going back 19 years to 2006, and Anaya Shikongo, Paralympic champion back in 2016. Now I think we have a slight issue, but we'll come to that in a moment. Yeah, Francois Amba is not here, but Gautier Mukunda is 2006 world champion, 5-time Paralympic medalist for France. Paralympic silver and 4 bronze. His first medal coming back in 2004 in Athens. His guide with him, Joachim Berlon. And Anania Shikongo, we've not been told who his guide is. Sorry about that. 4th in the 100 meters in last year's Paralympic Games in Paris, where he took gold in the 200 in Rio in 2016, bronzes in the 1 and the 4, and silver in 2021. Haha! In Tokyo. And also silver in the 100 in the Worlds in Paris in 2023, and he's taken 4 African golds as well. By the way, hello everyone, you can hear us, that's great. We've just been talking for the last day and a half to ourselves, but anyway, good morning, welcome to New Delhi. Men's 400 meters T11, so it's just Mukunda and Shikongo it will be, and it's only the winner of each heat who goes through to the semi-final. Plus a whole matter of additional fastest non-qualifiers. It's actually down on our start sheets that there's only one who advances as a what we used to call a fastest loser. I'm not quite sure that's right. I think it should be 4. Well, no, apparently it is 1. We'll see how that works out anyway. We've got 4 heats, and it's the top 1 who progresses each time, plus the next fastest loser. So Amba of Cameroon, it was due to be his championship debut. That'll have to wait, I'm afraid. And if you miss your first event, you miss the rest of them, I'm sorry to say. So Mukunda in 5, Shikongo in 7. And away they go in this 400 meters heat. So Mukunda has had Joachim Berlon with him a very, very long time. And he was the European champion going back in 2005. He's been around a while, but he's still only 42 years old, and Berlon, a real slip of a lad at 24, obviously a very good national class athlete. So Mukunda on the inside, Shikongo on the outside, and on the outside of his guide as well. And basically, it's straight head-to-head, a complete foot race as to who wins this, and to make their way into the semi-final. And right now, that's Gautier Mukunda. He's looking good, looking solid. Has to get the finish right with his guide, Joachim Berlon. He's had a couple of disqualifications, not a huge amount though, and Mukunda comes through to win to get it right, and he has done. 52-51, the guide almost crossed the line ahead of him. Shikongo in 2nd place, but Mukunda makes it. I'll tell you what, that was a bit close for comfort in the end, but he's there. 52-52 the winning time, it's close to his season's best as well. And Shikongo, well, he goes into the virtual hot seat, the next fastest qualifier, the fastest loser, however you wish to term it. Mukunda almost lost that on the line. Joachim Berlon was very, very close to crossing ahead, but anyway, he made it. He's a man of vast experience, and they got it right.
Why the judges are so strict on this rule is because it's cameras that take the time reading, and if the guide's chest gets in the way, the reading has to come from the athlete's chest or the athlete's torso, and that's why they're so insistent that the athlete has to cross the line first so they can get an accurate time reading.
Yeah, you just saw on the replay there, Mukunda just stepped back Makunda got it right on the line. He qualifies 52.52, and for the rest, Chikongo, the man to beat, 54.26 in this men's 400 metres T11.
Chikongo in that virtual hot seat then, if it was a literal hot seat, it would be my steam room from the other day, I'll tell you.
Actually, it is. It's a real hot seat.
I'd like to see a real hot seat there. Not just a virtual one, an actual hot seat.
Anyway, this is peculiar with Makunda because he just steps back right there just before the line. There's no need of a sort of a slingshot thing or anything like that. He just loses his rhythm a little bit, and then Joachim Berland, his guide, had the wherewithal to realise, I guess, what was happening and just ease up on the line, which was the right thing to do for him. You see it all the time deliberately. I'll just say that didn't look deliberate. Anyway, he won it. He's there. He's through. He can pledge his spot in the semi-final, and that will do nicely. Just mention a couple of other events which are on. The women's discus throw has been on all morning, and Nassima Saifi, now she is ahead of the, you might call the regular champion, Tian Yuk-jin. All the throws come at once, and actually that has just finished. So Nassima Saifi takes the title, 34.54, ahead of Tian Yuk-jin, 30.30, and Floralia Estrada of Mexico gets the bronze, 28.80 in that. That was the first event of the morning, which began at 9 a.m. just about 2 hours ago. So Saifi is up again, having taken the world record and the championship record in Dubai quite a few years ago. Yeah, we need a few of those today, the fans.
And that men's shot put F55 seeded final is still going as well. Rushdie, world record 12.94. He's in first position. There's 2 left to go, including Sokolsky, who set the championship record yesterday in qualification. He's in the F54 category, also holds the world record set 4 years ago in Tokyo in the F54 category. He's one of a couple of F54s going in that. So 2 left to go, including Ramonas Verbavicius of Lithuania. But at the moment, it's Rushdie who leads the way out in front with that world record 12.94. Juric in second, silver medalist at the moment from Serbia, and Lech Stoltman of Poland, season best 12.02. He's in the bronze medal position as it stands at present.
Another result to give you, women's javelin F13, that's gone to the perennial champion Zhao Yuping. She's taken it 45.22. Silver to Sheila Wanyoe of Kenya, African record. That's 38.63. That's actually a brilliant result for her. And Anna Kulinic, Sornikina, who won silver in Paris at the Paralympic Games last year. She's a neutral athlete still. There was a vote. The neutrality goes away now after these championships are done. Probably it'll be kicking in or kicking out in time for the Powerlifting World Championships to begin in Cairo next week. But Kulinic Sorokina, neutral athlete, she gets the bronze, 37.74. Zhao Wanyoe, Kulinic the 1, 2, 3.
And the women's 100 metres T38, just to round that one up as well. Qualifying through, Lana Sutton of Ireland has gone through as one of those fastest qualifiers after finishing 4th in its second heat. And also through as a qualifier, Rhiannon Clark from Australia has gone through as one of those lucky losers as well. Olivia Breen and Maddie Down of Great Britain have missed out. So through their championship record, it was Maya Morales, the 16-year-old from Colombia, first major championship, who set that championship record in the opening heat. She's gone through, and it's going to be a packed field for that final of the women's 100 metres T38.
And just a word for you as well, if you've been watching all morning and not listening, and hey, who says you're even listening now? Just a quick word in terms of the field events, the way that our host broadcasters, Indian TV, have arranged things. The field events we are watching completely live. Normally you may watch something back on tape that happened an hour ago. Everything you're seeing in the field events is live. So back home we've got a place called Home Store and More. When it's gone, it's gone. All the field events will be completely live from your point of view, just to point you in that direction.
That gentleman there just looking at the feed at the moment, having a listen to what we're saying, so he's keeping fully up to date on what's going on.
I think he's flipped away to
Anyway, indeed, back to the track, the men's 400 metres T11. The second of 4 heats is set to go in a moment or two's time. Atnanga, the bronze medalist from the Paralympic Games last year in Paris, will go in lane 3. Lifetime best of 50.89 seconds for him. And Yamjua, his guide who goes with him, he's a inside lane. Mohammed Aid, who's 4th last year in the Paralympic Games from Iraq, and going with Ahmed Aid. Now I suggest that's his brother who he's running with there. So 2 brothers running as an athlete and guide. So they're just getting themselves. They'll be in lane 5 for this second heat of the men's 400 metres T11. This complete visual impairment, and there are only 2 going in this. Benkali Mvondo of Cameroon does not start. So there are 2, as in the first one. We only have 2 athletes lining up to go in this. It will be the first who automatically goes through, and then after the 4, we'll have the fastest qualifier who misses out automatically. 54.26 that time at the moment for whoever finishes second in this, if they want to go into that virtual hot seat, which I think should be an actual hot seat. Anyway, men's 400 metres T11 is heat number 2. Atnanga, who is with the refugee team, is gone in lane 3, and it's Aid, who you see there, of Iraq, who is in lane 5. So just the one who goes through. And at the moment it is Aid who is out in front, but there's not much between them because of the bend on the track where they started out in lanes 3 and 5. So they're pretty even as they matched around that last 200 metres. The world record 49.82 and the championship record 50.38 held by Daniel Mendes da Silva, set in Guadalajara, the world record in 2011, and Lyon in France at the Worlds in 2013. So on the inside lane at the moment, it is Atnanga of the refugee Paralympic team, who looks like he's going to go down and take the victory, and that means he'll go through automatically. Just making sure he goes across the line first, and he does. Well outside the championship and world record. It doesn't matter though, because he's gone across and fulfilled the need, what he had to do to go through in first place. So Aib will need to now look and see if he can go through as one of those fastest, or the fastest loser. Shikongo 54.26 is the current hot seat position. So he holds that position at the moment. We'll wait for confirmation of the timing in this particular race. So Atnanga 52.14, 53.63 for Aid. So who now moves into that hot seat position? So Shikongo is gone, and Aid will move into the hot seat position, the man from Iraq, in 53.63. So happy days for him, and happy days for the man Atnanga, who was the bronze medalist last year at the Paralympic Games.
And one of the reasons it's so hard to find a guide runner for these athletes, or one, the athletes themselves are unbelievably fast, but the thing is, the guide runners are having to run at a pace that's not necessarily natural to them. They have to match the athlete that they're with, and they have to be able to communicate with the athlete as they're running, which means that ideally you actually need someone who's even faster. And when you're running at speed like that for 400 meters, it's not easy to find somebody who also has that kind of time dedicated towards it.
So Atnanga of the refugee Paralympic team goes through in the season best. He qualifies. Currently in the hot seat, it is Mohammed Aid of Iraq, 53.63. Benkali Mvondo did not start. So the field action is still continuing as we head back to the T20 men's long jump final.
Oh, if ever there was an advert for the excitement in a field event and why you need to sit on it, it's been this competition. We are now in the final round of the men's T20 long jump. That's Sinesis from Turkey, who unfortunately did a run-through on that final attempt. He's looking disappointed. However, there's no reason to be, because during this competition, this championship debut, he has already set 2 personal bests. 6 meters 82. That's what he'll finish on. He'll finish in 6th place, but you can already see it may be his first competition, but his eyes are firmly on what it is going to take for him to get to the top of the pile in the men's T20. Oh, it's been unbelievably competitive. 15 men started, just 8 made the cutoff, and now Chala Espinoza, a Again, another athlete who's already set a personal best over the 7-meter mark. And you can just see the final 3 attempts that he's had, 3 fouls, and I get what he was going for. When you find yourself sitting in 5th place, he's already set a personal best. In order to improve, he's going to have to build on that, and he really was just going for it and charging down that runway, and I can tell you, he's taken his shade very seriously across this competition. He's standing in the shade now, but he's been going around wearing one of those umbrella hats. Very clever, better than a baseball cap.
He looks like Raiden at Mortal Kombat. Have you ever seen the Mortal Kombat characters?
I feel bad, Tolson. That reference has totally gone over my head.
So look up Raiden, Mortal Kombat, and if anyone knows that Mortal Kombat characters, look up Raiden, and that's exactly the type of hat which he is wearing. It looks fantastic.
Wonderful. We love a visual, and we didn't get one on camera, so perfect. You can look that one up. But the thing is, he's been warming up with this basically umbrella on his head, which is very clever because it's kept his hands free and able to do his drills as required.
The question is, though, are his martial arts skills as good as his long jump skills? That's the question.
Well, maybe he will give us a taste. We've seen a few backflips, actually, in celebration recently. Right. Another athlete who was feeling the pressure in the 3rd round. Prodromou of Greece found himself in that awful position of entering that 3rd round on 2 fouls. Delivered a 7-meter 12 jump, which is why he's ended up in the, well, it's a final within the final, in getting his final 3 jumps, and oh, that's gutting. He was going for it. He had one hand on that bronze medal position, and unfortunately it was Ayakushev, who we're going to see next, who came in and dashed those hopes. He gave it everything he had on that final runway, knowing he was going to have to find an extra 10 centimeters, and he just went over the board. You can see you have the white board followed by that darker mark, and unfortunately if your foot touches anywhere on that mark, you don't get any credit for all of that wonderful speed you built up on that runway. Right, I have a feeling that Romley of Malaysia will be watching Ayakushev very closely. It was Ayakushev who, on his 6th and final jump in Paris, delivered the jump that would win the gold. It's been a tough competition for him so far. Had to work hard to find that runway. What does he have on this 6th and final attempt? Not to be this time. He did so well in that 3rd round to give himself another 3 attempts. 7:22 is what he will finish on. A season's best for him. And unfortunately, the Paralympic champion will not be able to add the world champion title to that crown. Well, I suspect Dashi and Romley will have breathed a small sigh of relief knowing they are that much closer to solidifying their places. Right, let's turn our attention to Hassan Dashi. Now, this is the first time in the competition he has turned to the crowd and started asking for the clap. You can tell he has just grown in confidence and comfort as it's carried on. And I have to say, getting the crowd clapping towards you has to be worth an extra 10% of adrenaline as you go. Oh, I love the way Dashi sets up that runway. He is such, fortunately, that is going to be a red flag. The way that he does it, he powers out, and it's so elegant and so graceful. It's almost deceptive, the amount of speed and power that he's generating. 7 meters, 36, personal best. Now, in some ways, it is his championship debut. We did see him in Kobe. While he was there, unfortunately, he was in DNS. Had to wait patiently until Paris, and you just get a sense as you watch those pictures from the takeoff board how close it would be. What could have been. It was a great jump, great lift off the board, but unfortunately, if you touch any part of that foul line, it's not counted. However, what that means is for Abdul Latif Romley of Malaysia, Malaysia's most decorated Paralympian. This is the glory jump because he already has the gold. He set a world record in the third attempt, putting it out of reach of everybody else in that competition. He's a 2-time Paralympic champion, a 4-time world champion. He is defending his title from Kobe.
Do you know what? That jump then might not be too far away from that 767 that he's already jumped. He got given the white flag, fouled the one before. He's taken the congratulations already, but that looked like a pretty long jump as well.
Which is a fantastic sign.
753, so not too far off it, but it doesn't matter anyway.
I think it's still significant because look at that sequence, 761, 767, and then followed up with a 7-meter-50 jump. What that says is when you can be that consistent at those distances, there's still more in the tank. Often world records come and they can be outliers, steps above what your quote-unquote normal performance is. But the fact that he has delivered so many jumps in around the same reason, my goodness, could he be knocking on the door of 8 meters? 2017, Abdul Ramli was awarded the Officer of the Order of the Defender of the Realm. What a great title.
What is that?
I have no idea, but it sounds awesome. I think it's probably similar to, for example, an MBE in Great Britain. And that was awarded...
You have one of them, don't you?
I do, Tolson, thank you. From now on, you can address me as that. But he was awarded that title because he is Malaysia's most decorated Paralympian, and it's in honor of his services to sport and the way that he has represented his country on the world stage.
Back to the men's 400 metres T11, complete visual impairment, and 3 are going in this. And for 2 of those 3, that is really, really good news. Man in the middle is the Paralympic champion, mind you. So, first of all, in lane 3 for Uganda, this is Fred Miziza and his guide, Fred Oeja, who was disqualified in the 400 metres at last year's World Championship in Kobe. And then the previous year, in Paris at the Worlds, he didn't get to start his heat. He's starting this one, and that's good news. So Miziza goes in 3. A couple of Freds for you. But this is the reigning 400 metres Paralympic champion from Venezuela, Anderson Santos, alongside his guide Charles Serrano. And that was very much the result of his career for the Venezuelan. And in lane 7 on the outside, this is a championship debut for John McKeary alongside his guide Michael Nzuku. Now, not meant to be his championship debut, he was due to compete in Paris at the Worlds in the 400, but he didn't start that race. That happened to a couple of countries. I remember in Lyon 10 years before, a few countries quite late, I didn't get their visas in. We heard that at the time. But John McKeary is here. It's the winner to go through, plus the next fastest across the 4 heats. There's one more to come after this. So it's Miziza in 3, Santos in 5, McKeary in 7 for a spot in the semi-final. Santos and Serrano getting set. It is complete visual impairment. It's T11, so extra care being taken. A bit more than usual, a bit of hush around the stadium required. Aziza, Santos, McKeary. One of those 3 will progress. Away we go at the first time of asking. Nice solid start by Santos. He has the lifetime best by 4 seconds over McKeary, 5 seconds over Miziza. But it's worth pointing out, in terms of this season, he's only marginally gone faster than McKeary. He's been a 54.5 man, which obviously will suggest not a huge amount of racing for him. But this is a proper race. This is his race of the year so far. So Santos in the middle, going well for Venezuela. And wavering a little bit. Almost looked as if he was going slightly stray in the outside. McKeary going well on the ultimate outside, but it is Santos well out in front, and if they play their cards right, and there's no reason why they shouldn't, they're on their way to the semi-finals for certain. The Paralympic champion looking very good and very, very strong, and he will make it. 54.24, the winning time for Santos. McKeary in second, Mziza in third, and that is going to be a season's best for Santos, and it's beyond the other season's best as well. Simple enough win, and Anderson Santos, who hit big time glory in Paris a year ago, wins this heat.
When it comes to the T11 sprints, it's one of the hardest finals to make, because by the time you finally get to the round you can actually get to the final, there's only 4 spots available, and that's obviously because you need to have 2 lanes between them. And so getting through these rounds, they have semis, they have finals, it's hard work, and the thing is you want to do it in a way that guarantees that you get through, but also saving a little bit of energy. And I was really impressed with that display from Santos Gonzalez along with his guide Serrano. You could just see as you can't start off a 400 meter slow. You have to go for it right from the start, but you can shut things down as you start coming around the corner and down the home straight when you get a look around and see where you're at. And you could just see his guide Serrano have a look around, turn to Santos Gonzalez, give him the information that he needed, and they were able to cruise to a very casual finish by their standards.
Ayade currently is the next fastest. I was just thinking there, he's beginning to stray a little bit to the right hand side, but he was okay. Santos only came into the sport this decade, by the way. He's 38 years old, the Venezuelan. And he makes really good progress there. You saw Fred Mziza down, needing a little bit of help back up, along with his guide, Fred Oisha. It's not the fastest time at all by Santos, but it's about getting through. And Anderson Santos has done that. So Santos, the winner, 54.28. McKeary will not make it, 54.82. Neither will Fred Mziza, 56.84. McKeary was just outside his lifetime best as well. I've just got another result to give you in a sec. May as well do it now. Men's shot put F12, medium visual impairment up to 5% vision. Volodymyr Ponomarenko, the silver medalist in Paris in the shot last year, he has won the shot here. World record, 17.39. Emil Zilner of Latvia, the silver, lifetime best, 16.63. And Stefan Dimitrijevic of Serbia, the bronze, 14.63. That the men's shot put F12.
And staying with the shot put theme, the F55, which is still ongoing. We're down to the just finished the penultimate thrower, Sergei Sokolsky, the neutral para-athlete, championship record of 11.98 in the F54 category for him. It puts him in 4th position overall, mainly 55s in this one. And Rushdie, the world record holder, has broken his own world record. He leads the way on 12.94. Lifetime best for Nebojsa Djuric of Serbia, 12.52. Season best for Lech Stoltman of Poland, who's in the bronze medal position on 12.02. And in 5th position at the moment, also an F54, Salinas of Mexico, a new area record, 11.66 for him in 5th position. There are 2 F54s, slightly less able than the F55s as far as movement goes, so the F55s lead the way. It is an F55 category, but as it stands with 1 left to go, it is Verbavicius of Lithuania, who is just getting himself prepared for his 6 throws. He is the last of the 10 athletes to go, but at the way, Rushdie leads the way at present. That's the last field event out of the morning. We've got one more track event to go in this morning session. It is the heat number 4 of the men's 400 metres T11.
And news of another champion who we're not going to be seeing this week, Hunter Woodall. Some of you might have picked this up in the past 24 hours. The Paralympic Games 400 metres champion of the T62. He's decided to withdraw from these championships in New Delhi. He says it's to do with the timing, and also he wants to be alongside his wife, Tara Davis Woodhall. Great success for her in Tokyo the other week. She's competing in Athlos in a few days' time, and he wants to support her at that. But he's not going to be here this week, so it's a big name absent, but almost all of the other big names are present in New Delhi this week. We've a few more athletes here than we had in Kobe last year.
Well, a big name coming up in a moment too in the last of the men's 400 metres Tier 11 complete visual impairment. The reigning world champion Chris Kinder, who picked up their gold medal in Kobe last year, will go in the final heat of 4. There is his name there popping up. You'd think we'd just worked on this, wouldn't you? Chris Kinder, who he has the World Championship gold from last year. Now, it doesn't say it on there, but Chris Kinder will not start. So he is a non-starter for this. So whether he got to the call area late or whether he had visa problems beforehand. So the reigning champion will not be defending his title. We'll just have 2 who are out on the track. More on that to follow, no doubt. But there's one man who's out of the 2 who will be racing. Robi Kogovzek of Slovakia, or Slovenia, I should say, who will be running from heat number 4 in this one. So, well, that's a bit of news, isn't it? Chris Kinder, who's not competing. Now, we had a chat with him last year after he won that race there in Kobe, and he was in fine fettle, but he won't be here. So, Banketsi of Botswana will be the second of the athletes with his guide Thuso Balaseng. So just the 2 to go in this, and at the moment the time to beat for whoever finishes second in this is 53.63. That is currently held by Ayadi of Iraq, who finished second with a season best in heat number 2. So that's the time to beat if you do not win this race. 53.63 is the time to beat for the one who finishes second here as they get themselves organised. Men's 400 metres T11 is complete visual impairment. We do need silence as the athletes get themselves sorted before they take off. And then after that, cheer all you want. So a tether in place. The hands will be set up by the guide. And as we've been saying throughout these championships so far, the guide must allow the athlete to head across the line before them so that they are clocked and it is a legal time from the athlete. There's those world and championship records you can see in the bottom of your screen, both held by Daniel Mendes da Silva of Brazil. So away they go, and is the Botswanan athlete on the inside, Banketsi. He competed at the 24 Paralympic Games and also at the Kobe World Championships last year. Not much between them at the moment. And Kolkazek of Slovenia on the outside, but it's the Botswanan who's looking very smooth at the moment, it has to be said, as they round that 200 metre mark. Just the first who will go through to the semi-final. So we'll have the field for that confirmed very, very shortly indeed. There's a bit of width there between the guide and the Botswanan Banketsi, but they're back into position. I'm not sure there was a bit of a drag on the athlete there to bring him back into line, but at the moment he's a good 5 metres ahead as the Slovenian struggling on the outside, but it is Banketsi who takes the victory. So he moves across the line, and I can tell you also that'll mean with that time there that Mohammed Aid will be the one who goes through. Season best 54.504. The man in first place, Banketsi. And it will be the Slovenian who misses out, Kogosvek. Lifetime best for him at 55.04, but he's well outside that 53.63. And Mohammed Aid from the second of those heats will go through to the semi-final.
Now, it was a big surprise for us to discover that Chris Kinder did not show up, but imagine what that would have done for the athletes, and we don't know at what point that would have been discovered, but it would have completely changed the tone and the strategy for this heat. You can imagine Banketsi was going in not thinking he had an opportunity to guarantee his place in the semi-final because Chris Kinder would have taken that, but he would have had to have run this in a way that ensured Kogetsu did not challenge him for that medal because they were actually quite close. But that is the thing with the championship. You kind of go in with this plan and where you think you're going to finish and how things are going to play out, and it can all change at the last minute, and you have to be ready for it.
Yeah, now am I wrong in thinking that 4 going through to semi-finals is a bit strange?
Yeah, I was doing the math and thinking, I'm not sure what we have at the moment. First in each heat, the next one fastest. That only makes 5. And I'm thinking for the semis, if there's going to be 2, then you'll want 4 in each heat. Well, we'll work it out.
But they'll need 2 lanes, so that's the reason why, because we technically need 2 lanes each, so we're going to be 1 lane short, so that's the reason we're going to go through. But how we're going to work that one out, I'm not too sure. 1-3 and 1-2 in another. We shall see. There it is. Just summarising everything there. There's your 3 automatic qualifiers, and it's Mohammed Aid who goes through as the fastest qualifier there. Banketsi on that second page in the final heat of 4 also qualifies and goes through. Amber, a non-starter, as well as Chris Kinder in that. So a surprise not having the now former world champion, because he won't be the reigning champion much longer. He did not start, as you can see there, so disappointment for him. And Bondo also did not start, so a few non-starters in that event. But as it is, we have our places through to the semi-finals.
Women's javelin F13, that's concluded. Zhao Yuping has taken that again. 45-22. Sheila Wanyai of Kenya second. And that is a 3rd gold for China of this weekend. 7 medals in total. Brazil through Patricio Ferreira, getting a big help there. Noel Roorda among the 2 morning medalists yesterday for the Netherlands. It was the high jump where it all happened for India with their gold and bronze last night, and in the women's 400 T20 as well with that silver medal. They've one of each colour. Ukraine as well. Poland a gold. Switzerland. Hey, Catherine de Bruyne does it again. Algeria, Colombia, Ireland for a 23rd time. Major congratulations there, and a first time ever for Peru. First ever gold, first ever medal, full stop, in a real red letter day in their sport for Neri Mamani, coming in the women's 1500 metres T11. Uzbekistan took their 3 medals yesterday. They're top of the placing table. That's the top 8 points table. Kenya have 2 silvers so far. United States don't have a gold yet. They hoovered up everything in Tokyo the other week. Latvia, Lithuania in the throws have picked up silvers today. Mauritius, yes, they have a medal here. 3rd championships in a row in which they've done it for the first time. Holly Arnold, bronze in the javelin last night, and Tunisia as well. Those are all the nations who have got themselves on the podium. About 30 so far, lot more to go. 7.5 days left in New Delhi. Fun times. Now, men's shot put F55.
This is the final athlete who's going in this, Verbavicius, the Lithuanian. He's the 10th and last to take his place. Rusty, one of our favourites who leads the way with a new world record for him as well. So this is the very last event of the morning session. It was the second to go out. This is the thing with the seated events. They do take a long time because you need someone to go through all 6 attempts. They have their warm-ups, they get themselves strapped in, they put themselves in position, and it does take a while to go through. Season best with his second of 10.80 for Verbavicius. He does stay, though, currently in that 10th position. So Rusty with that world record of 12.94. That came with his last attempt. Lifetime best for Juric with his penultimate attempt. That was 12.52, and Led Stoltman a season best 12.02 with his 4th attempt. Rusty, the Paralympic and the world champion, 4 times the world champion, 2 times the Paralympic champion. This man Verbavicius does the javelin as well, so multi-talented, as many of these athletes are, with either maybe shot put and discus. Some do javelin. He seemed happy enough with that attempt then.
Well, I think the flex of the arm gave that away. He's feeling good on that one. The men in this event throw a 4-kilogram shot put.
Well, he's improved 10.82, a season best. He's gone 2 centimetres better. That's why he was happy with it. So 2 more to go.
It's funny, athletes tend to know as soon as it's released whether or idea being that if you can impart a little bit of velocity before you launch the shot, then you help get more distance. But when they do it from that seated position, this is exactly why they have to be strapped in so tightly. He's doing everything he can to get momentum just with his own body.
His final attempt coming up. It's pretty much following the script, this Rusty, who's the Paralympic champion and world champion. And then we've got in second position on there, it's Juric of Serbia, who was a silver medalist in 2024 at the Paralympic Games as well. And then in third position, Lech Stoltman, who's been the bronze medalist of the past 3 Paralympic Games. So we're pretty much following the script as far as how things are going to go, as far as who's going to win what medal and finish in what place. Final throw for Verbivicius, the Lithuanian, 10.82. His best, that was his 4th attempt. This is his final attempt as we await confirmation of what he's picked up there. He's the last of the competitors in this men's shot put seated F55 final. Nine finals in this morning session. This the last of them to finish. We'll have 13 in the evening session, so 22 for the day. 9 in the field this morning, and 13 in the track in both the morning and the evening sessions. And there is confirmation of the finish of this event. So 10.89, a new season best. So he improved with his final attempt. Did Verbivicius. He finishes in 10th position, having been the last to throw, but he has improved on his season best and moved up in 10.89. But there's only one winner again, and it is Rusty of Bulgaria, who's claimed the title yet again for his 5th World Championship title. Juric in second place with the silver, and Lech Stoltman in third place with the bronze medal. 8 F55s in this and 2 F54s. Sokolsky set a championship record, which he broke yesterday in qualifying. He broke it again today, made it 11.98. So he improved it by some distance, a good 42 centimetres in the F54 category. But there's only one winner. He's got the same first name as he does the last name.
And he's a repeat winner.
Touche. So that rounds up the morning session. There's confirmation of it. World record, Rusty. Nebojša Juric, lifetime best. He picks up another silver medal. And Lech Stoltman, who's been a bronze medalist of the past 3 Paralympic Games, season best for him, taking bronze medal in this event as well. Season bests, area records, and lifetime best, along with world records and championship records. It's been a stunning morning session here. 9 gold medals given out in total. We're 13 to look forward to in the evening session. But until then,